All right, let's dive in headfirst into a topic that hits close to home for every truck driver out there, CSA scores. You know those scores that seem to follow you like a shadow?
They're definitely important.
We're really going to peel back the layers of the safety measurement system, or SMS as they call it, and its close cousin, the driver safety measurement system, the DSMS. We're talking actionable intel, the kind that helps you not just understand these systems, but actually use them to your advantage.
And at the end of the day, it's all about improving your standing as a professional driver and making the roads safer for everyone.
Exactly. And, this isn't just some abstract concept. We're talking about real-world impact on your career and the reputation of the companies you drive for.
Absolutely. A driver's CSA score is like a report card in many ways. It reflects their commitment to safety and compliance.
Okay, so the FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, they've got this whole system built around 7 behavior analysis and safety improvement categories, or BASICs for short. These are like the pillars of their evaluation process.
Think of them as the key areas the FMCSA scrutinizes when assessing safety performance. They're looking at everything from unsafe driving to vehicle maintenance to hours of service compliance. And of course, controlled substances and alcohol.
Right, and we're not going to sugarcoat it. These BASICs are the bread and butter of your work out there on the road. Every decision you make behind the wheel, every inspection you conduct, it all ties back to one or more of these categories.
It's like a web. Every action a driver takes is interconnected, and it all feeds into the overall safety picture that the FMCSA is trying to build.
So let's break down the why behind all this.
Well, the CSA program, at its core, is designed to do one thing: reduce the number of crashes, injuries, and fatalities involving large trucks and buses. It's all about improving safety on our highways.
Okay, so less accidents, fewer injuries. I mean, that's a goal everyone can get behind, right?
Absolutely. And the SMS, the safety measurement system, that's their tool to identify carriers, the companies, that might be having safety issues. Think of it as their way of prioritizing their enforcement efforts.
So it's kind of like a ranking system. They're looking at all these companies and saying, all right, who needs a closer look?
That's a good way to put it. And then you've got the DSMS, the driver safety measurement system, which zooms in on individual drivers.
So they're looking at the companies as a whole, but also at each individual driver.
Exactly.
That's interesting. So it's like a double layer of scrutiny.
You could say that.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting for drivers. You, the person behind the wheel, you generate a lot of the data that feeds into the SMS. Think about it. Roadside inspections, crash reports, any investigations that might happen, all that information goes into the system.
Right. And within each of these BASICs, the companies get a percentile rank. And this is where it gets real for drivers, because those percentiles, they don't come out of thin air.
They're a reflection of what's happening out on the road every day, every mile.
Exactly. These percentiles range from 0 to 100. Now, a higher percentile for a company means that their safety performance in that particular BASIC is worse than other companies that operate in a similar way. It's all relative.
So if a company's got a high percentile in, let's say, unsafe driving, it's probably because their drivers are getting flagged for things like speeding or following too close.
That's a good example.
It's like the company is getting dinged for the collective actions of their drivers. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about me, the individual driver? Do I have some kind of score out there that everyone can see?
Well, here's the thing. You, as a driver, you don't get a publicly visible score like a company does. But your actions, they definitely contribute to how your company is doing in those percentiles.
So it's like behind-the-scenes record keeping.
You got it.
The FMCSA, they're tracking everything. And even though your DSMS performance isn't public knowledge, it can still come into play, especially if your company gets put under the microscope.
Right. Those individual records can become very relevant if the FMCSA decides to conduct a compliance review on a trucking company. It's all part of the bigger picture.
Okay, so even though you don't see a score, it doesn't mean your driving record is invisible. Got it.
That's the takeaway.
Now, let's talk about the crash indicator and hazardous materials compliance basics. I know these aren't publicly available, but they still matter, right?
Absolutely. Just because they're not public doesn't mean the FMCSA isn't factoring them into their evaluations. These are critical aspects of safety, especially when you're dealing with large commercial vehicles.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and focus on the DSMS.
The driver safety measurement system. This is where the FMCSA really drills down into individual driver performance. They use this system to evaluate drivers based on violations that come up during investigations.
So this is where they're really scrutinizing your driving record.
Right. And here's the key point. The information in the DSMS, it's not public. You can't just go online and look up your score. It's primarily used by enforcement personnel during compliance reviews.
So it's kind of like a confidential file that they keep on you, but it's there.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the SMS and the DSMS and how they work, but let's get down to brass tacks. What can drivers do to actually improve the performance in these systems?
The first and most important thing is to consistently follow all FMCSA regulations. I know it sounds simple, but that's the foundation of everything.
Right. Don't speed, don't tailgate, make sure your logbook is accurate, all the basics.
Exactly. Those might seem like no-brainers, but you'd be surprised how many drivers get tripped up on the little things.
And those little things can add up.
Absolutely.
What else?
Vehicle maintenance is huge. Drivers need to be doing thorough pre-trip and post-trip inspections every single time. And I mean thorough. We're talking lights, brakes, tires, everything.
And if you find something, report it immediately, right?
Exactly. Don't wait for it to become a bigger problem. Addressing small issues early on can prevent violations and keep you rolling safely.
And let's not forget about hours of service. That's another area where drivers have a lot of control.
Right. Accurate logbooks are absolutely essential. And it's not just about filling out the paperwork. Drivers need to understand the rules and make sure they're getting enough rest.
No pushing yourself to the limit, right?
Absolutely not. Fatigue is a major safety hazard, and the FMCSA is cracking down on it.
Okay, so we've got following the rules, vehicle maintenance, hours of service. What else is there?
Education. The transportation industry is always changing. New regulations come out. Best practices evolve. Drivers need to stay up to date.
So read those industry publications, attend those safety meetings.
Exactly. The more you know, the better equipped you'll be to operate safely and avoid violations.
That makes sense. Knowledge is power, as they say.
It really is in this industry.
Now let's talk about something that might be a little confusing. Violation severity and time weights.
All right, so not all violations are created equal. The FMCSA assigns a severity weight to each violation, and it can range from 1 to 10. The higher the number, the more serious the violation is in their eyes.
So like a speeding ticket's going to hit you harder than a broken taillight.
Exactly. And then there's the time weight. Basically, more recent violations count more heavily against you.
So if you got a ticket 6 months ago, it's going to hurt more than a ticket you got 2 years ago.
Right. The FMCSA wants to see continuous improvement. They're looking for drivers who are learning from their mistakes and consistently striving for better safety performance.
Okay, last question. Let's say a driver gets a ticket during an inspection, but then goes to court and gets it dismissed. Does that still count against them in the CSA system?
This is a really important point. If you get a citation and it's later dismissed or the charge is changed, you can actually submit documentation to the FMCSA through their data queue system.
Data queues, got it.
And if they review it and verify the dismissal, they can actually remove the violation from your record, or at least reduce its severity weight.
So it's worth fighting those tickets if you think you've been wrongly cited.
Absolutely. But here's the catch. This only applies to inspections that happened on or after August 23, 2014.
Okay, so there's a cutoff date. Got it. Anything else drivers should know about data queues?
Yeah, it's important to remember that it's the driver's responsibility to submit the documentation. The FMCSA isn't going to automatically go digging through court records for you.
So be proactive. If you win your case, get that paperwork over to the FMCSA right away.
Exactly.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. Any final thoughts for drivers out there who are trying to navigate the world of CSA scores?
I would say this. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers and the regulations, but at the end of the day, it's all about safety. Focus on being a safe and responsible driver, and the scores will take care of themselves.
It's not just about avoiding violations. It's about developing a safety mindset that permeates everything you do on the road.
Absolutely. Think about it this way. You're not just driving a truck. You're operating a piece of heavy machinery that has the potential to cause serious damage.
You're sharing the road with families, with friends, with people who are just trying to get where they need to go safely.
Exactly. So take it seriously. Every decision you make behind the wheel, every inspection you do, every mile you log, it all matters.
And those safe miles, they add up. They build your reputation as a professional, and they contribute to a safer transportation system for everyone.
And ultimately, that's what it's all about.
All right, so we've unpacked a lot here today. But here's something to think about as you head back out on the road. What's one small change you can make today to be a safer driver? It could be something as simple as doing a more thorough pre-trip inspection or committing to taking a break when you feel fatigued. Small changes can have a big impact over time.
That's a great takeaway. It's not about making drastic changes overnight. It's about continuous improvement, one step at a time.
And remember, you're not alone in this. There are resources available to help you navigate the complexities of CSA scores and improve your safety performance. Talk to your safety manager, reach out to industry organizations, do your research. There's a wealth of information out there to support you.
And never hesitate to ask questions. The more you understand about the system, the better equipped you'll be to succeed.
All right, that's it for this deep dive. Stay safe out there and keep those wheels turning.
Safe travels, everyone.